Hey guys, welcome to the Kimbright YouTube channel. I'm happy to say that my foot has improved greatly. I actually ran down the stairs to pick up the package, which I haven't been able to do for quite some time. I don't look happy, but I'm actually really happy about it because it means I've been able to do another milestone. I'm not sure I can dance yet, but I can certainly move around a lot more and be able to probably be able to run down the street. I'm not taking it too far though, because I know at this particular stage I do one bad thing and I'm off. My foot still hurts by the end of the day, and after about an hour of walking it can start hurting again, and particularly if I'm standing still for a long period of time, unless I'm leaning on anything, it still hurts. So it's not quite there yet, but we're slowly but surely starting to find improvement again, which may mean I'll be returning to work soon. Just one quick thing before we do today's video. Tuesday and Wednesday, you're going to see me in a different place if I do any filming. I might do the filming on Monday and then just upload on the Tuesday. The reason being is because I've mentioned for the past videos now, I've had a personal problem. A relative of mine passed away on the 19th, and Wednesday is the funeral, and we're travelling to Buxton on the Tuesday. It's not easy for me to be able to talk about it because I don't know. To me it still feels like a little bit of a denial, and it's almost like I'm struggling to believe that she's passed away. And you know, she was a really strong and great woman. It was expected because she was ill, and around about the same time I had my foot injury, she was sent to hospital. But it's still very hard to bear when you suddenly hear that she's gone. It's not the most easiest things to be able to comprehend what's going on. I spent most of my days half on my phone with seeing what the plans for the funeral is, seeing what originally I was supposed to this week go to her old place to help pack, but my foot wasn't great that entire week. I did manage to see my brother though. You noticed in the videos I was also talking about things that connect to her, because it was the only way I was able to cope, and I thank you for all of the support that you guys have given throughout by watching the channel. It's been really hard to be able to bear with it. So the bedtime stories are still going to continue. Whether they're going to be filmed where we are, or whether they're going to be filmed before we leave, is going to be a decision I'm going to have to make probably Monday. To give you like a weekly update of what's happening next week, I mentioned a couple of videos ago that I was going to do a special video of another person whose death I was coping with, and the time just never came. The subject itself was just, sorry, I'm trying not to cry. The subject itself was just really hard to bear, and then with Gran's death as well, it just became harder and harder to sit down and do the video because of the subject matter. The subject matter was so hard to be able to grit. If I have the strength later today, I'll post that video on, but at this particular moment, I don't have that strength in me. It's one of the hard things to bear when you lose someone that you love. And then to have it on the same month that someone else close to you has died it's been really hard. It's been so hard. I think, sorry, it's been so hard to be able to bear with both deaths. So I wanted to post this video to say that it may be that Tuesday and Wednesday there won't be any videos out because I'll be so emotionally distracted by what's going on. But I do try to keep the videos as they are and keep them as raw because I want you guys to see the truth. So what's happening, what videos that are coming out, maybe I'll do the video that I was planning to do this whole month. I really don't know. We've got 2 Geek Gears coming out. There's another Geek Gear from February 2019 which may or may not be uploaded by the time this video comes out. I finally managed to get my computer fixed fixed to a point where I can now do editing, although I'm still not sure it's actually completely fixed. So that might take some time to sort of build on that. But we've got this month's Geek Gear and we've got this month's Geek Gear special. And we've got the bedtime story as well. And I've got my dream jar which I'm currently building at the moment. The paint has dried. I need to get on to the next stage, which I'll do later today. I really need to sort of go and have a little bit of a walk around. You might even have a blog of what's happening and what's going on the Tuesday and Wednesday. It depends on what my family want to do. And whether my camera can actually suit it or not, because one problem I have with my phone is its power dies very easily. So yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard. But these two have been on my side all the way through it. I've got little Amelia in the back here. I've got my dear friend here who's keeping an eye on me. Mental wise, you know, I've still got a long way to go. I'm now going to miss 2 sessions of my physio psychology, and I've had to reschedule my physio as well for the funeral. This is part of the problem that I have. Family is always important to me. I think if I heard that my brother, in fact, when I did start my work, I learnt later that my father was being moved to his old place because he was renting somewhere and that place had to be de-rented, so he was technically being evicted from where he was renting out to where he is. And I went to my manager and I said, look, I know it's, you know, out the ordinary and all of that, and I'm happy to book a holiday and anything. Can I please have this day off so I can give him a hand? It's the exact same for if anything was to happen to my mum or my brother. They always come first in my life. I think that's why this week's been so hard, because even though my dad was saying, you know, your foot, you need to think about your foot, don't come, there was always a part of me that thought that, you know, I should have gone. And that was kind of the hardest thing for me to be able to cope with. I think that's why I wanted to see my brother when we met, because it made it a whole lot more easier. I'm also doing a project at the moment with Woodhouse Players, which you heard in the Dream Jar video. They're doing a collection of plays called Triple Bill. That's 3 plays in one, and they I realised later, I haven't told my dad yet, but I realised later that the tech and the dress of that play was meant to be the day that I go to the funeral. So the Tuesday and Wednesday. I've then got a dentist appointment either Thursday or Friday. I probably will pop to the dentist and double check that, because I've got an email from the dentist saying that it's Thursday, but I've got a piece of paper saying it was Friday. Now I know why, because originally we were going to stay until Thursday, and then we said, well, as we're all coming home Wednesday, let's all come home Wednesday evening. And to cut a very long story short, I kind of said, well, originally we went, okay, well, we'll do Thursday morning. Okay, that's fine. Actually, hold on. No, I'm coming back on the Thursday. Can we do Friday instead? And, you know, she did it all. She did the Friday, and that was perfect. And that was perfectly fine. And then I double checked the email, because they always send a reminder email just in case. And this reminder email claimed that it was on, actually the date's slightly wrong. Excuse me a minute. Maybe I'm reading it completely wrong. Oh, they've changed it. Yeah, they've changed it. I'm hoping I just read it completely wrong, or maybe they sent me two by mistake. No, it's been changed recently. It now says, oh, okay, maybe I read the wrong day. Yeah, so now it says Friday, which I've just realised is the day that I may or may not be returning to work. So now that I know that we're coming back on Wednesday, I may want to change that to Thursday now, depending on how messed up it's going to be. That will probably be later today after I finished filming. Probably with this guy to give me some support as well. So I mean, Friday it will always depend on, you know, the improvement of my foot. Because I missed my physio, it will always have to depend on me, on how much I can do. So standing up still hurts. I will confess that right now. Standing up still hurts. And even though I've started doing work elsewhere, but not paid work, it's always been under the condition that I can always sit down. That's always been the thing. I can go to work, but because I can't stand up a consecutive amount of time, my workplace, which I'm not going to reveal the name to, tends to will not be able to fit my needs, whereas where I'm currently doing voluntary work can. It's always been that kind of borderline kind of, you know, I am allowed to do this, but I'm not allowed to do this kind of stuff, which I absolutely hated. But it's been hard to kind of get that kind of balance back up. And there's certain things that I can't still do. I can't, even when I'm doing the dishes, I have to lean on the counter when my foot starts hurting. You know, maybe I can do kind of alternatives where I can go, I'll be able to work, but I might need a seat so I can sit down after a couple of hours. That might be part of the plan. I know the other part of the plan, whether they do it or not, because I'm still waiting for an email, is whether they do a kind of, I'm trying to think of how to pronounce it, whether they do a kind of gradual return to work. So it's, what am I talking about, boy? Instead of me doing certain days a week, I do, say, 1 day a week or certain hours a week, so I can gradually get back to that kind of theme of getting it through. Although saying that, where I'm currently doing voluntary work, that's for 4 hours, and after 4 hours my foot is in pain, and there have been times when I've had to ask to sit down after 1 or even 2 hours. So we're always going to have that kind of boundary. I'm just trying to remember when my next... Oh God, I don't even know when my next... Oh, it's on my phone somewhere. So my next physio, not next week, but no, not the week after. It's the week after that. During which point he'll probably kill me for returning to work earlier than that. But it's always been my judgment, and this is the problem, because all the way through my injury, the main problem that I've had is, even though I know that I can't do certain things because of my foot, I keep having the urge to do quite a lot of things. So I keep having the desire and the ambition to do certain things that I shouldn't or can't, or perhaps don't want to, don't do for medical reasons. I'm trying to think of how to word it properly. Because it's not exactly that I don't want to do something, it's more that I can't do something, or that I'm limited to what I can do. And sometimes when you've got that kind of limit, your mental state is pushing against what it can do. I know athletes have this quite a lot. So it's, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, on Friday I'll be returning to work, even if it's a few hours. But you know, there's always going to be that possibility that we're still going to have that kind of battle, and still going to kind of have that fight. I'm not that reliant on the crutches anymore. I still carry them in case, and there are days when my foot really, really hurts, and I'll kind of think to myself, no, I don't want to push myself anymore. And that always frustrates me, because I'll leave the house and I'm absolutely fine, and then by the end of the day I can't do it anymore. And it's always annoying to try and find that balance between my needs and other people's needs. And it's always, my needs are kind of at the moment down here, and everyone else's needs is kind of up here, and I need to mentally put myself back into that kind of balance. And it's always been tricky, because I've always found it difficult to get to ask for help, particularly when it comes to asking for particular help. So finding ways to sort of balance, oh, I can do this by myself. And I found a lot of people offer to help me, and I've got into the habit of sort of saying, okay, yeah, I might need your help after all. But there's still that rebel in me, because I know that I can do it. I know that I can do things with no problem. But I have to keep reminding myself that if I don't take it easy, I could end up more seriously injured than, or even going back to square one. Where the true horrible thing about my injury was the fact that I went from 10 minutes, in the space of 10 minutes, I'd gone from going to my leader to report that I couldn't walk on my heel, or I couldn't put weight on my heel. By the time I got to the first aid room, I couldn't put weight on my heel. I couldn't, I was literally walking on the ball of my foot. I couldn't walk. They put an ice pack on me. They did everything great. And then the question came, you know, if they put me in a certain area of the warehouse, would I be able to go back to work? I just revealed that I do warehouse duty. And I got off the bed to try and walk, and I just couldn't put weight on my foot at all. The pain was just so bad. It was exasperating how much pain I was in. And at that point, they decided, you're going to hospital. They booked me a taxi. I got to the hospital. At first, the guy got out the taxi. I think he could see I was in an incredible amount of pain. He got me out the taxi. I took 2 steps forward. Not even 2 steps. Thinking about it, not even 2 steps, because I still couldn't put weight on that foot. But I was trying to walk. And I just couldn't do it. And he offered me his hand. He literally had to carry me in. And then we got to the main front door, and the other nurse had to put her arm around me. And there wasn't that much in the way of a queue, so they sort of took me straight in to see the nurse. And the hardest part was sort of saying, I've done my foot in. Oh, what have you done previously? I don't know. Because up to that point, I couldn't think of what had triggered it. I'd literally gone from talking to my mate to suddenly feeling so much pain in my heel, to suddenly not being able to walk at all. And I think that was the difficult part of the doctors, because usually when people come in with an injured foot, they've usually like dropped something on their foot or they've done something. And with me, it was just a sudden pain. It was just so sudden. It was so scary. And I think that was the scariest thing for me as well, because I was going through a period where I was struggling to work out what had happened. Because even I didn't understand what was going on. All I could feel was pure pain. And they gave me crutches, and I booked myself in. I sat down in the waiting room, and I was there for a couple of hours, during which point my foot wouldn't stop throbbing. My foot wouldn't stop throbbing. It was just so bad. And the throbbing just got worse and worse. So I eventually got to see the doctor, and he had a brief look at my foot. We had it x-rayed, and he came back and he said, there's no fractures in your foot. I think you've got plantar fasciitis. I asked him to write it down because I wasn't too sure what it was myself. I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it. And then I went to the taxi. I went to get the stuff that I needed for the pharmacy, which was the painkillers and the anti-inflammatory. And had to book book an Uber to go back. And the taxi driver said, do you want to stop by work first? And my original instinct was, no, I just want to go home and hide, because I was so annoyed with myself that I'd got this injury. But then I thought to myself, how am I going to explain this unless my manager sees me? Which may sound stupid now, but at the time I wasn't thinking straight. So I said, no, I'll stop by work and have a little chat with my manager and have a little chat with my boss. So I got out. Security was great. They let me in. I sat down. 2 crutches in my hand. It's not something that the manager really wants to see, having just sent me to hospital. The only thing missing was my foot in a cast or a boot. So they came and they saw the crutch, and I said, it's good news and it's bad news. The good news is that it's not broken. The bad news is it's this type of illness. And she knew it immediately. And she said to me, there's no way that you can return to work. It took, I had to go and get a sick note to be signed off work. And that's been the hardest thing, constantly trying to get the sick note. And constantly trying to keep everyone happy in the process. That's been the hardest bit, particularly when I messed up the sick note. So there was a progress where I had to get, I'd been told by my physio that I would be able to work, but it did conditions. And I now know what I should have done was spoken to work first before I got the sick note. Because then I could have kind of sorted myself out a little bit more on what was going on and what was happening. So I got the sick note and then went to work. gave it to them, sent them the sick note, and then came in on the Saturday. And I still, even though I wasn't using the crutch, I had the crutch in my hand. I told them that the only condition was I had to be sitting down. I had to do a sit-down job, and they said there's no way that they can accommodate that because of the kind of environment that I was working in. And they advised me, get another sick note, get yourself signed off, and all you have to do is rest. And that's what I've been doing the past couple of weeks. I've been trying to rest my foot, trying to get myself sorted out. The death of my gran has not made it any more easier than it already was, because one thing that the physio mentioned was sometimes negative emotions can sometimes trigger the pain a lot more. And I think the death of my gran has made recovery and the judgment of recovery even more difficult, because the other thing has been, because it's been so cold, I don't know whether the pain is just has just intensified because of the cold, or whether it's intensified because it is actually straining and in pain. Occasionally I feel the strain as well, and I think, okay, maybe it's still hurting a little bit. That's something that I'll have to discuss with work when I return, hopefully on Friday, next Friday. And but the small milestones that I've been taking, they sound minimal, but to me they're a huge, massive improvement from what I was previously able to do, which just makes me feel a little bit more better with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So I'm going to stop rambling now and get on with some other work that I need to do. But I hope that I can sort of support myself and be able to make things so much more easier for the both of us in so many ways. And next week I might be on here saying, I've got some good news, I'm back at work, or as with a previous video I'll be saying, okay, there's bad news, I'm not back at work yet because my needs still can't be met. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything will be sorted out. But until then, all we can really do is keep our spirits up, keep looking forward, and hope that everything goes well. And on that note, I better get back to work. Or at least I better get back to trying to entertain myself while I'm still in bed. So I'll see you again real soon, and hope you enjoy the videos that are coming out this week. I hope to see you guys again soon. See you around.